creators, how are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode where every week we just do our best to help you work through the roadblocks, the obstacles, the things that you're facing on your YouTube channel to grow not only your audience, but the business that surrounds it as well. I know a lot of you guys are next level creators. You're established in what you're doing on your channels and you're just looking for, okay, I'm past all the normal stuff we usually hear these YouTube type of people talk about, whether it be how to upload a thumbnail and what kind of camera should I get? You have your camera, you know how to press record, and you know how to upload thumbnails and videos. But we're here for those of you who are just like, okay, what are those next steps? What are the more advanced techniques and tactics I should be considering and implementing on my channel that's going to get me the most momentum? How do I get from that spot of making some money to turning this into a full-time job? Or if it's like, how do I use this to create more leads for my business? We want to talk all about that stuff with you guys here today. And today, well, not today, not all of that today. That's a lot to talk about today, but we want to talk about all that stuff with you here on this podcast. Today, what we're talking about is bringing clarity to the direction of your channel, especially when it's confusing, when it's ineffective. And for some of you, you might be lacking a direction completely. And I know a lot of times for you guys that leads to inconsistency. It's like, well, I'm not really publishing my videos or my channel because I don't really know what the right thing is to publish. And this thing's kind of working, but it's kind of not. And I don't know if it's worth my time. And so there's a lot of different scenarios for those of you guys who just need clarity brought to what's the direction of my YouTube channel. It could be maybe you feel like your channel's just at a standstill. You feel like you're stuck in a rut. You're putting out what you think is high quality content, but it just doesn't seem to be enough. Like one video does really well for a few days and then it totally stops growing. And then another video that you think is going to just blow out of the water and be your number one biggest main video that you work so hard on just really doesn't get any traction at all. Or you have one series that's doing really well and one that's just not, and you're just trying to figure out why do these videos work and these videos don't, and you're wondering, am I going the right direction on my channel? Or maybe you just feel torn about the direction you want to go on your channel and you're like, I really want to go this direction, but I found that this is the direction that gets me the most views and the most subscribers and the most traction on my channel. And so you're torn between this thing that you know works and get views and this other thing that you really just love and are passionate about. You have this broader vision for what you want the channel to become, but the thing that's just working for you isn't really the thing that you want to, it doesn't really encapsulate the full vision you have on your channel. Worse yet, maybe you just started doing that. You're like, hey, views, subs, I love it. And you get enticed into that hole only to find out that now you're stuck only being able to do the same thing over and over again that you really just want to break out of, but you can't break out of it because you feel like if you do anything else, you don't get the views. And so maybe there's a direction challenge there, or maybe you're just trying to figure out, you're from the very beginning and you're like, I still don't even know what direction to take. I'm not sure what to do. I'm publishing videos inconsistently, or I'm doing them consistently, but I'm not really sure if it's worth my time. I don't know if I'm going the right direction or not. So all of those are such good questions, and we want to address those questions for you and help give you some next steps, next ideas, and some tactics and strategies that you can implement on your very next video on your channel so that you can move forward confidently with a new direction, knowing that, you know, this is the direction I want to go and this is what's going to work for me. So we're excited to dive into that with you guys here today. If you are in the... What is I'm not in dress code. Oh, okay. I get it. I forgot. Looking at the chat here going like, Tim's not in dress code. Tim, you have the wrong clothes. We missing someone. Oh, yeah, we're missing someone too. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, okay. So
you leave for a couple weeks, Tim, and things go haywire.
2 weeks ago. What happened 2 weeks ago? Oh, was it the week I had this thing removed from my lip, I think?
Yeah, but I think you were also gone for vacation. Like you went camping with your family.
Yeah. I went camping for a week with our neighbors, actually, our next door neighbors. And then I guess we should do this in the update. I kind of skipped that part when I went into it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go to the chat. Thanks for reminding me. Lennon, woo, voice cracked. Let me do that again. Lennon, so good to see you again. It's been a few weeks since we've hung out here on the podcast. And Delana, for those of you guys who are listening, she is not here. She has some other conflicting things going on today, so she won't be here. But Lennon, good to see you again. What did I miss the last 2 weeks I was out?
Well, I mean, you can tell by the chat that
Yeah, the live chat.
there's some expectations here that potentially you should have a jean jacket on right now. So we may or may not have talked about it for the entire hour the last 2 weeks.
I actually didn't listen to your 2 podcast episodes that you and Delana did. So.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people with expectations here that you haven't delivered on yet. So
what was the expectation? I don't even have a jean jacket. I don't own one.
I think that's kind of the goal.
The goal. Now. You have yours on.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, for those of you guys who don't know, Lennon and Delana, I think it started at when we did an all-team retreat at my house. What, last year? Is that when it was? And you guys both were wearing denim jackets, and you guys were like, Tim, you need to wear one. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just can't see myself wearing one. And so the goal ever since then has been get me to wear one. And maybe if the chat will tell me that your audience retention and click-through rate will go up if I wear one. But I don't know.
There's an option there. I mean, you like we always say, you got to test it, collect data and test. So.
Well, I've missed hanging out with you guys over the past 2 weeks. Len and Delana, you guys held down the fort for me. I was on vacation. Where was I? I was camping 2 weeks ago with our next door neighbors. And then last week, my family and I took some time to do some family stuff together that day. And it was really good. It was really fruitful. It was a really beneficial time, and I'm glad we took that. So Delana is off right now today, but eventually we'll have the 3 of us back together again. How you been doing, Lennon? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, things are going pretty good. Nothing too crazy the last week. Just been I've been trying to set aside more specific creative time the last week to just be able to do stuff that I usually don't make time for, which has been nice. So I've been getting up early and just setting aside about an hour to do whatever it is. So today I worked on some video content and then doing music and some other stuff that I just haven't gotten to spend time on in a long time. So it's been nice. It's been a good change of pace, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that a more consistent habit, because I think if we don't make room for that kind of stuff, you just start to feel burned out even when you don't need to. You can still like what you're doing, but you just feel like, I'm just tired for some reason. I just get in this monotonous state. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For our family going on vacation, it's not something we normally do. We don't usually do the vacation thing. We'll go years without doing it. And we probably wouldn't have done it this year either, except for my neighbor. They'd never gone camping, and they're like, let's just go. We want to try it. His wife won like this tent at work, and they wanted to go camping. And I was like, well, tent's part of it, but you also need sleeping bags, and you also need some sleeping pads, and you're going to need some stuff to cook on and things like that. But yeah, we went. It was their first time, and it was fun. Boone Builds in chat here says, saw you on a boat with your family somewhere. Yeah, we went to a state park in Kentucky and camped near a lake and went boating. We did some hiking. We cooked almost all our meals on fires, which I really like doing. Gives it an extra little burnt flavor. Tastes good. And not the burnt part, but the smoke part. And it was really relaxing. So yeah, whether you're doing that every morning, I guess, or I don't know. Doing it every morning probably sounds better than doing it once a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's a balance probably of if you're really doing something to kind of refuel your, or like refill your tank, so to speak, then I think it can't always be the same. You sort of have to mix
Mm-hmm.
it up, or else then it just becomes another thing we feel like we have to check off the list. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of, is that checklist feeling for my work. So
Yeah. Yeah, Keto Twins in the chat says, we just rented a cabin in the middle of nowhere. It was nice to get a change of scenery. Yeah, I found that good too. So, I feel a little bit off my game. I'm a little rusty here, Lennon.
yeah, I can
Thank you for
tell.
the
That's
super chat,
okay.
Brian. Appreciate that. And I did a consultation with Brian. Brian's got a cool story. Don't really want to camp out here too long, but he was, let's see, it was a year and a half ago. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna grow this YouTube channel around my about helping lawn care owners grow grow a business around lawn care," and he did it, and it was about a year and a half later. Then he did a second session, just a follow up, and he's like, "Tim, I did it. I took all your advice, and now it's earning more money than I've ever made before in my life. We have more opportunity that we can handle, and this stuff is all going like crazy. I bought my dream home. My wife and I have the house of our dreams, and now what? Like, what do we do next on this?" So I just had that conversation with him last week, and that was awesome. That was fun it's fun to have the follow-up stories, because we don't always get those. So thank you for the super chat, Brian, and thanks for being so awesome, and congrats on your success and everything that you've been accomplishing in your business on YouTube. It's been awesome to watch. For our creator spotlight this week, we want to introduce you to someone named Carolyn, she's a creator that Lennon's been working with, and she's been having some really good success, and we're going to hear from her about what she did to accomplish that. But Lennon, tell us a little bit about Carolyn and what kind of results she's been seeing on YouTube here.
Yeah, I don't want to give it all away, because I think hearing her say it is a lot more fun. But we had a consult probably 6 months or so ago, and she already was doing fairly well, but wasn't seeing, things were just kind of stagnant. And the big thing we talked about was this idea of, who is it that you're talking to? Like, what are you trying to say to somebody? And what she discovered in that call was the freedom to talk to the person that she wanted to talk to, and to say the things she wanted to say. And so this idea that you're even discussing here, of like, where do we meet with what do we think people want and what we're trying to hit on, versus like what we actually want to do on YouTube. She was in that same struggle, and it was so cool. She hit me up and automatically almost said, like, the next video got her a ton more views, and now she went through 30 days to a better YouTube channel and has seen some stuff going. I think we just let her take it from here.
Yeah, it's a really cool story, guys. Going from 4 years working at $100 a month to paying her mortgage 3 videos later. So here's let's introduce you to Carolyn and hear more about how she did that.
Tell us about you. Tell us what you do. Tell us what's happening.
Holy cow. All right. So my name is Carolyn, aka Doodle on a Motorcycle, here on YouTube. And I've been on YouTube for 4 years. It was just kind of an escape for me. I got my dream job as a product designer in home decor division. And it is still an office job. So even if the work is fun, it's still, at least for me, kind of soul sucking. But learning to ride motorcycles just kind of was a very exciting and fun thing for me. That was just a great escape. And YouTube was a way for me to connect with other people who rode, and because I didn't know anyone who rode motorcycles. And and I was just obsessed with YouTube for 4 years. I was giving it all I got. I wasn't making much progress. I was barely making $90 a month, but you know what? I just think if you love something, you just keep on doing it. And and about 4 years in, I realized I'm spending so much time on this. I don't really have a social life anymore because I'm so obsessed with this. And whenever people ask me what I'm doing, I don't want to tell them, because then the next question is, do you get anything out of that much? And my answer was a little bit sometimes, about the equivalent of $1 an hour. So I started out just binging you guys, video creators, lots of people binging Sunny Lenarduzzi, Daryl Eves, lots of people, maybe about less than a year ago, and didn't want to give anyone my money. Pulled the trigger, had a consult with Lennon several months ago, and he helped me basically figure out target audience. Lennon, I don't think you realize this is what you were doing, but you showed me how to kind of hone in my target and who I spoke to. But what Lennon doesn't realize is he basically helped me not be so nervous on camera and talk to the camera like I would a friend. And before, I kind of treated the camera like a job interview, and I always had to look professional, speak professionally, and so of course you can only touch so many people that way. But yeah, Lennon helped me hone in, and by that I always felt like I was talking to a girlfriend who wanted to ride bikes too. And that changed everything. And then and that consult, after that, within 2 videos it paid for itself. And I used to make less than $100 on YouTube. So after that, I was like, all right, I need more info from these people. So I signed up for the 30-day course, took a 3-month break on YouTube so I could finish the course, plan out my videos ahead. And I've literally only posted 3 videos since I've finished the course and since that break. And the growth has been insane. I'm like, is this too good to be true? But
tell us more.
I'm not going to believe it until I start seeing dollars hitting my account. Right now, it's all like just on the screen. But okay, so I used to make like barely $100 a month on YouTube. And in 3 videos, my AdSense is covering my mortgage. And then I got a brand deal, and this one wasn't a brand deal, actually. It was a free product, and then I made a video talking about all the stuff I use to secure my motorcycle. One of the products was the free product, and I had an affiliate link for that. And I posted that last Friday. It's been like 10 days, and just the affiliate from that alone is enough to cover my mortgage too. And now I have another brand deal later in September. I'm like, what? Holy cow.
Cool. So cool.
It's insane how I mean, YouTube, it's not hard. It's a lot of work, but it's just strategy. It's not luck. It's just simple strategy. And once you know what that is, it's holy cow. Like, I can't believe it. I'm amazed.
I think what you touched on is so important, though, because this is the thing that I see. So in our Video Labs class, I started one recently, and that was the big thing that I just said was we have to toe the line between not just like making good content, but also being 100% ourselves. And it sounds like that's where you found that balance fairly quickly. And that can be really difficult. Like, you know, if you had a takeaway for somebody who was kind of in your position where they've just been going at it and they're like, you know, it's starting to feel a little sterile and they want to just make it more natural. What would be a tip for them?
I would say if you are putting in so much time and not seeing return, stop. You're doing something wrong, and you can fix it very easily if you know what you need to fix. And then you'll see huge growth. But I think the biggest takeaway is who are you talking to? And it's not even just, I don't even like to think of it as target audience, because to me that's intimidating. That's like, I'm talking to a whole audience of people. I got stage fright. But when it changed to, I am talking to my girlfriend who is so career focused, but she is just so sick of working all the time and needs something exciting, and she wants to ride motorcycles too, and she's just starting out. So I'm talking to her. That is so comfortable for me. And even just the videos I post too. Like before, I was posting what I saw everyone else doing, which was gear reviews, bike reviews. And I mean, when you see a gear review, like a gear review, you watch it and then you move on. But when you see someone talk about I was like, the title is, I used to be scared of riding. This is how I got over it. That's when people are like, what? Oh, I really needed this because I'm scared of riding, but I really want to do it. What else you got? And they start looking at more videos. And
I love it. Yeah. You've dug deeper than just like the surface level, and that's showing.
Yeah. And I have you guys to thank for that. If that was that, it's amazing what you all have done for me. I'm just in shock.
Well, if you guys want, you should definitely go follow Carolyn. Doodle on a Motorcycle. We'll have the link to her channel in the description below. Go follow, because I think she's just going to keep crushing it. We have another consult coming up, and we're going to see what happens. So, Carolyn, thanks so much. You're the best.
Thank you, Lennon. No, you're the best. Seriously, thank you.
Okay. I am so excited for people like her who take the time to not just do a consultation and work on the things, but actually implement it and see results like that. That's crazy. Going from 4 years, $100 a year, like grinding away and away, just thinking like, eventually I'll get my big break. Eventually this will work. Eventually I'll get my breakthrough moment and I'll rise. And I love her advice, which is, it was like, like, YouTube's not hard. It's a lot of work, but if what you're doing isn't working, don't just keep doing that. Instead, do something different, get an outside perspective, get some help that will help unlock the things you don't even know to look for, the things that you would never otherwise see. Lennon, she mentioned at the end there that, or you guys mentioned at the end that you had a second session coming up. Anything come out of that second session with her in terms of where she's going?
Well, so we talked more about getting some clarity, and the big thing for her right now is that she's getting her first set of brand deals, which is incredible. So she's working on that. She's just got more things trickling in, and so the big thing, my big advice was, keep leaning into the thing that's working right now. Don't try to change too much. If it's working for you, then go for it and just keep enjoying doing the things that you're liking to do. And it's been cool. She seems to love it. So I think that's like we're talking about, like, that's the balance, is if we can love it and feed that passion into it, I think it shows on the videos. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And it sounds like her questions start changing then too, which is where, so exactly what we like to focus on is like, oh, I got some momentum here. What do I do with this momentum? How do I now the questions start turning into business related questions and things. So I'm really excited for her. And if you want to check out her channel, follow along with her story and her growth, there's a link to that in the show notes down below. And if you'd love to dive into the same things that she used to really unlock growth on her channel, whether it be a consultation, there's links to or 30 Days to Better YouTube channel. Links to both of those are down in the show notes as well. You can go to videocreators.com/consulting to schedule a one-on-one 1-hour session with either myself or with Lennon or Delana, or you could just dive into like, I just want to work through a proven growth process that works. It's going to help me unlock a lot of the things that are holding me back. You can go to videocreators.com/30 days, 30 days, and get started with our course there. That every day is designed to take you through a teaching, something you need to know, and then action steps and like homework assignments for you to do right then and there on your channel. And then each day also ends with links to further resources, other videos, articles to think and read, so that you can really dive into that day's topic and really make sure you unlock that on your channel. Some people go through, it's 30 days, you get access to the whole thing all at once. Some people take 30 days. Some people do it in like a week or a weekend and just power through it. Other people, sounds like Carolyn, she's like, no, I am going to take my time. I'm going to comb through this. I'm taking 3 months to work on this 30-day process to make sure I do everything well. And she got the results, and we are very confident that you will too, because we see it very consistently. No matter who your audience is, what kind of content you're making, it will help you grow your channel, reach more people, change their lives while growing your business and changing your life as well. It's just like a win-win-win situation. I love it. So links to all those are down below. Those of you guys who are in the chat, we do want to be taking your questions, whether it be about Lennon's shaving or anything else. So as we're going through this content here, make sure you ask your questions and we don't have a moderator for today, so Lennon or I will keep keeping our eye out, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can here in a little bit. Okay? So thank you, guys. Let's talk about bringing clarity to the direction of your channel when it's confusing, when it's ineffective, it's not working, you don't know what direction you should take. How do you even go? What would a process look like that would help you start to try to figure that out? And that's what we want to dive into here today. And this is something that I feel like, Lennon, comes up pretty often in conversations that we have with people in consultations. I have never actually tried to solve this problem just by giving people a step-by-step process. It feels to me like one of those things that is best done inside the context of a conversation where you can hear what they're thinking, what they're feeling, the direction they want to go, but why they struggle with it. And I feel like that's a much more fruitful place for this. But I know not everyone is in that place where they're going to do a session, so I want to help all of you guys who are listening here. But just know up front, like, I think this is a challenging thing to tackle without having a conversation around it. I'd say, like, step number one would be to, first of all, just start to manage your expectations for what your channel should be doing, especially if you're small. Now, I like, again, what Carolyn said, which was like, if it's not working, don't keep doing it. Especially if you're doing it for 4 years, I would say absolutely. But I feel like as creators, it's especially easy for us to compare ourselves to whoever is doing better than us. Like, we never compare ourselves to the channels who are doing worse than us. It's always the ones who are like, oh, they're going really fast. Why am I not? And it's the expectation of, like, why is not every video I do just a single knockout, just amazing hit? Like, every video I do is awesome. Why don't they all perform the same? And after you do it for a little while, maybe you kind of grow to learn that, okay, not every video is going to be awesome. Not every video is going to hit where I want it to hit. But it's still a little bit disappointing when you feel like, man, I published 3 videos in a row and none of them really took off. And you feel like the other people in your space all their videos, like every single one of them is taking off. I have found that that's typically more of an emotional response rather than a data-driven factual response. Because when I'll be in a session and be like, oh, who are those people? We'll go look at their channel and be like, no, look at this. Like, they published 7 videos in a row that did worse than yours. Oh, I didn't see those videos. Exactly. You only see the videos that are going big, right? So it feels to you like every video is going big when it's not. So I don't know, Lennon, do you ever have those conversations with people in clients sessions and consultations about managing expectations and trying to, people have this one idea of what should be happening? How do you usually address those conversations with people?
Well, I think that it really depends on what those expectations are. One of the things I've been thinking about so much recently is this idea of why we do what we do versus what we really want. What's the thing that we want? Because sometimes the thing that we want, which may be more views or more subscribers, and we've talked, like Delana and I talked about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but that thing that we want may be those, like, give me more views, I want more people watching. But if you don't really know why you want that, it can be really hard to appease that. And I think that we also have to really appreciate and learn to appreciate the process that we're going through, because if we can't, there's going to come a point where you never feel any sort of reward or approval for yourself at any stage, because you'll just hit, and we see this all the time where it's like you hit 10,000 and they're like, okay, cool, but they don't celebrate that as an actual win. It's just like, well, how do I get to 100,000? Like, had one client recently that he wanted to get to 5 million views a month, and we got to that point pretty quick, and there was no real, it was like, okay, I'm fine with that now, I want to get to 8. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, there's just like no stopping. And so I think we have to be cautious of getting in that place of what is the thing that you really want from this, and why do you want, if you want more subscribers, why do you want it? If you want more views, why do you want that thing? I just think that's so important.
It is. Yeah, that is so important to know, like, well, what's the goal that you want from this? If you don't really know what the thing is that you actually want from this, it's going to be like, well, I want views. Well, no, I want subs. Oh, no, I want money. No, I actually just want to feel more popular. No, I actually just kind of want to do something for fun and have like, if you don't know what it is you're ultimately going after, then you will be spinning your wheels with like trying to do all these different things and none of them will really work, and you're going to be trying to do all, yeah, that's so good. I feel like where we're at, Lennon, as a brand is kind of similar to this, where it's like, if we want the most views on YouTube and we want the biggest audience, then we should be going after the largest, broadest niche of that, which would be the beginner, the new creators who are just starting out, the people who are like, what camera should I get, and what's the best microphone, and how do I feel comfortable on camera, and those types of things. And those are really good, valid issues and things that are important to talk about. But when we decided that, the thing that we really want is we really want to serve the more established creators who are ready for the next level strategy. That is a much, much, much smaller audience of people, but it's who we get excited about serving. It's where we feel like we're doing our best work. And that's where we see the most traction with what we're doing with consultations and our courses and video labs and action plan and things like that. So when we do that, we have to know then that when we're narrowing our audience like that, we're no longer going to be getting the views we used to get on our videos. We're not going to be getting the downloads we used to get on our podcast. It's a much smaller audience. And so if the goal, I don't think the goal is always to grow the biggest channel possible. I think the goal is to get in front of the right people that you can serve the best. And I think we can all agree it's better to be in front of 10 of the right people than a football stadium of the wrong people. And I think we all just kind of look for the glamour, the prestige that comes, or even the credibility that comes with a football stadium, even though that might not do a single thing to get us closer to our goal, which for us is to work more intimately with the established creators and helping them with their next level strategy and business growth and things like that. So managing those expectations, I think, is really important. And Lennon, also, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, knowing what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish here will give you a lot of direction in terms of your content and things too. I'd say number 4, and then or number 3 actually. The next thing that comes to mind for me is I find a lot of the time, like when I get into a session, the lack of clarity around what direction I should take is actually a lack of clarity about who am I actually going after and what's my value, what value am I providing for them. And it's just similar to what Carolyn's story it just was exactly. It was like, oh, who am I going after? Just talking to this generic audience of people who like motorcycles, versus she got down, she knew what this person wanted. She were in a job that was fine, but it wasn't really like the thing that really got energized them. They wanted more energy in their life, more passion. Motorcycling was a way of doing this, but they were scared and intimidated to do it. They don't know where to start. And so she's sharing her journey, talking to that person rather than just to her camera. And when she got clarity with Lennon on that target audience, not just age demographics, but what do they want? What is their story? Then that audience started resonating on a much deeper level. She started getting the watch time she needed, and quickly, within only a few videos, she was doing really well on her channel. How do you walk people through that, Lennon? What maybe with Carolyn or just people in general when they were like, I don't really have a lot of clarity on my channel because I still don't even really know who I'm going after or what the value prop is. What process do you take them through to help them figure that out?
Yeah, so I either approach it one of two ways. So sometimes I start with what is the value that you want to provide. If they're really clueless, like I don't really know who I want to talk to or who I feel like I resonate with, because sometimes I'll start a consultation and somebody will say, yeah, I know that it's people that like to roller skate and they're between the ages of 30 and 70. Then I know, okay, well, let's go deeper with that. So then there'll be questions like, well, why do they like to roller skate? What's the thing that they want because of roller skating? Because what we know is that roller skating is simply a tool to get them somewhere else. So I often use this as a quote from Seth Godin where he says, if somebody's buying a 1/4-inch drill bit at the hardware store, they're not actually buying the drill bit, they're buying the hole. And they're not even buying the hole, they're buying the shelf that they're putting on the wall. And they're not even buying the shelf, they're buying the feeling that they get when all the stuff's off the floor and everything's in order, and the man's wife comes in and gives him a kiss on the cheek and says thank you. He's not buying a drill bit, he's buying a sense of accomplishment and pride. And so even somebody that's into roller skating, there is something behind that that takes them to that next place. There's something that they want from that, be it fulfillment or acknowledgement or fun or entertainment, right? And then if they don't know that, it's just like, well, I don't even really know what I want to talk about. Then I start with, what are the values that you want to provide somebody? So this may be, how do you want to motivate somebody? How do you want to inspire somebody? What are things that inspire you? If there's just a completely blank slate and they're just clueless, I'll start there, because then I see some passion start to come from them. And they'll say, okay, yeah, like when I want to motivate somebody, I usually think about this. And so we'll dig deeper into that. And it gets real personal, honestly. Some people get kind of uncomfortable and that's where we always come out like, oh my gosh, yeah, I feel freedom now to talk about things that I want to talk about to the people that I want to talk to. And that's such a cool process to see people start to walk through that and find that clarity.
Yeah. I feel like often for me, it gets into that therapy zone sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell people like, okay, I know it's going to sound weird. I'm not a therapist, but here's where we need to push on a little bit. Here's where we need to go in order to really unlock this for you. And for the most part, people have been pretty willing and open to do that, which I've been surprised by. I don't know if I would be as willing to do that if I was in a session with even paying people to do it. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm just impressed with the amount of transparency a lot of these people that we work with, where they go with this. Let me give you guys an example. You're like, okay, well, how do I actually find this deeper target audience and the value for them? And I feel like this is so important, guys, because the more clear your target audience is and your value that you are for them. And I know you hear this talk about this a lot, but the clearer that is, I think the clearer the direction becomes now on what your channel should do, what it should be, the content you need to publish, and why and how, and then it becomes a little less discouraging when you're like, well, my channel's not growing like that channel, but now you know, like, it's because I have a different audience than that channel, or I'm trying to provide a different value than that channel. Let me take you through a process that it's not like 100% foolproof, but it is a process that I found to be most consistent in terms of helping creators figure out their target audience. And we actually have an entire, I think if you go through 30 Days to Better YouTube channel, we provide a whole worksheet actually about this. But this is, I'm going to give you an example of one so you guys can kind of hear it for yourself. This is a creator that I worked with and still am working with. We kind of end up doing a session every couple months together just to kind of like, okay, working on that, now what do I do, type thing. And so this person has a kind of a homesteading channel, kind of a woodworking channel, kind of like livestock channel, kind of like a home building channel. It's just kind of like for people who want to live and work on their own land. And that's kind of part of the problem, because we don't really, it would be hard for someone in this creator's audience to tell a friend, hey, you should really go check out this person, because like the language that they would use would be like, they'd have to try a whole bunch of different ways to explain what it is. And so when we tackled it, the first thing we said is like, okay, we just want to understand this person's story. Their story being, number one, who is the character? 2, what is this character, this viewer? What do they want? Number 3, why can't they have what they want? Number 4, what's at stake for this character if they don't get what they want? Number 5, what prompts this character to take action? Number 6, who or what comes along and helps the character, which would be you, the creator, the content. How does the character get what they want? And then finally, how is this character transformed? We're answering all those questions for a specific viewer. And then at the end, I'll go through this one with you guys here, hopefully kind of quickly. And then after we've answered all those questions, you'll see how it all, in our case, wrapped up into a neat channel trailer that really it was really a really powerful tool that they then had to create not only emotional connection with their target audience, but really quickly draw them into the content. So who's the character? Well, the viewer for this homesteading, home building, woodworking type of channel it's a married couple. We call them Jake and Jen. Jake's 37 years old. Jen's 35. They're married. 2 little kids. Their kids are John and Jess. John is 6 and Jess is 2 years old. Both of these parents have full-time jobs. Jake is a mid-level corporate manager. Jen is a nurse at a doctor's office. And combined, they're bringing home a little bit more than $100,000 each year. They're living comfortably in a neighborhood house. They don't really talk with their neighbors much. They stay kind of busy with all the normal lifestyle stuff, work, daycare, church, grocery shopping, general home maintenance, things like that. So that's the character. What do they want? Well, they're feeling disconnected with their way of life and really want something different for their family. They want a deeper connection with their spouse. This discontentment first expressed itself in their marriage. Jen watches The Bachelor and misses how romantic Jake used to be when they were first dating. And Jake misses how excited Jen used to be about him and feels like he's now losing interest in her. And they both feel like their relationship is now more of a functional one with this unspoken for the sake of the kids type of vibe than the relationship they really dreamed of having when they got married 10 years ago. The other thing that they want is more fulfillment from their work. They don't mind their jobs. They like it. That's fine. The people they work with are good. They do good work, and they feel very secure in their jobs. But like their marriage, it's starting to feel just a little mundane. The excitement is gone. The challenge that once drove them has dissipated. So that's what they want. Why can't they have it? Well, they honestly don't really know there's anything different. They look at the lives of the people around them, and everything feels kind of normal. Neither one of them really voices their discontentment about their marriage because it's just easier to maintain the status quo, and it feels easier than trying to address the elephant in the room. Plus, neither one of them at this point doesn't even really feel secure enough in their marriage to even have that type of a honest conversation. So at work, Jake is stuck in his position for at least the next 10 years before another position becomes available further up the ladder. And even when it does open it up, he's not really sure he wants to take that job. He's kind of like, is this really what I want to do with the rest of my life? There's not a lot of fulfillment coming there for him. And for Jen, she's motivated by the relationships, the patients, her coworkers, the doctors she's working with, and she really enjoys seeing them every day and has more of a sense of, but she's staying more out of a sense of loyalty and a fear of how they would react if she announced that she was leaving. So she feels stuck mostly because she feels like she would be abandoning people that she spends most of her time with every day. I mean, after all, she's been doing it for so long now. No one else can really do the job that she does. Who could replace her? And she wouldn't want to leave that on the doctor's office and make them feel like she's abandoning them. So she just kind of stays put. So what's at stake if they don't get it? Well, unless something happens, their marriage will eventually end. Both of them will end up having secret affairs. The other will suspect it but won't say anything because they're having one themselves. And then there's that elephant in the room again. They'll end up living these separate lives until one of them is tired of the game they're playing and then just leaves the family for good. And the kids will grow up with this picture of a broken marriage and a relationship. They'll feel insecure about themselves. They'll act out in their teen years. If they're going to church and things and faith is a part of their life, they're going to bail on their faith when they get older. And the marriage to them will feel like an unnecessary constraint. John, the boy, will get a girl pregnant in college, and Jess will settle for a guy who's just using her. And so it's no wonder because they never saw a healthy, loving relationship modeled for them when they were growing up. So no one has deep roots in their relationships, in their faith, or in their work, or anything. So what prompts the character to take action? Well, thankfully, a pandemic hits the U.S. I'd say thankfully with tongue-in-cheek, right? Thankfully, a pandemic hits the U.S. COVID forces Jack to work from home. Jen's doctor's office is closed, and the daycare shuts down. Now they're thrust into this whole new world of questions, which is, well, how do they pay the bills without Jen's income? And how do we survive our relationships with all of this extra time we now have together? And what do we do with the kids now? So in the midst of all this, they've been needing a new kitchen table as Jess is getting older and growing out of her high chair, and they can no longer afford a table because Jen's not working. But Jake looks at one online and he thinks, that can't be too hard to build. He does some research online, finds some plans for a simple table, buys some materials and tools, and builds that in a weekend. And Jake now feels he's so satisfied to have tackled a new problem and built something useful with his own hands. Jen now is seeing her husband getting excited about something that relates to their family, and she's starting to feel a bit attracted to that. She offers some help with some sanding, and together they finish the table. And together they start rediscovering that they enjoy working together on a common goal. And now communication starts to open up between them. Jen is concerned about buying groceries with their limited income. She's browsing through the cabinet in their garage, and she finds an old packet of tomato seeds, and she thinks, oh, I could grow these and save some money. But then she thinks that the seeds are so cheap, she could save a lot of money on produce if she just grew it herself. So she digs up a little plot on their 0.29 acres in their neighborhood and starts a little garden with tomatoes and a few other packets she found in her cabinet, some cucumbers, onions, and carrots. So who or what comes along and now helps the character? Well, Jake's new interest in woodworking has prompted him to start watching YouTube videos on the matter, and Jen's new interest in gardening prompts her to start watching YouTube videos to learn about what she's doing in the garden. And they're both watching very beginner levels, like do I need a table saw and how to grow tomatoes in your garden. As their skills improve, they love how they feel empowered to make things with their own hands and feel good about their work and have something tangible they can point to. They love how it impresses other people who are now visiting them or seeing it what they're posting online about what they're working on, and people are just saying, I could never do that. And that gives them a sense of pride and like, I'm doing something that's unique here. Soon, Jake has the basic woodworking skills he needs. Jen has a fruitful garden, and now they're wondering, okay, well, what's next? That's when they see this client of mine on YouTube casting a vision for what their stills could really become: a sustainable food source, pride in what you build, fixing things on your own, all of these while building deeper relationships. And so they click and learn some skills, but keep coming back to this person's channel to see what happens next in the story and to be inspired by the deep roots that this character on the YouTube channel is forming with the people on her land, both in her struggles and in this creator's victories. So how does the character get what they want? Well, they're watching this person on YouTube wondering if would it be worth it to move from our 0.29 acres to something that's a little bit bigger. They don't know if they have all the skills to make that work or even if it's the right move for their family. But really what's going on in their heart is they're attracted to this other way of life, not because it's cheaper or more sustainable or because they love animals, but because having a common family vision has brought them together as a family. So they thought that what they wanted was just to learn some skills in woodworking and gardening, but what they feel and have not yet articulated is that they actually want to see the transformation that they see is slowly happening in them in their family. And that last question then is, how is the character transformed? What is it? Well, now Jake feels like he's valuable and needed at home. He used to only feel valuable at work, but now he's building things the family needs and it makes him proud of his home. It's no longer just a place where he eats and sleeps and stores his stuff. It's becoming a reflection of him and the work of his own hands. Jen also feels like she's producing something that her family needs with a garden. She too feels proud of her hard work and that it's producing something tangible that she serves to the family. She's proud of Jake for what he's been able to do. She sees a renewed passion coming alive in him. And likewise, he's proud of Jen for growing such delicious produce that complements his table very well. It's like they're both complementing each other and reaping the rewards of each person's work together. The kids are no longer just sitting in front of a TV while mom tries to figure out what to do with them. Instead, they're able to help dad build in the garage, and they're bringing him tools and helping him glue wood together and bringing the miter saw down for cuts and cleaning up the mess with him afterwards. They're also helping mom pull the weeds and planting the seeds and watering the garden, and they help her harvest it and check the plants every day to see how they're growing. Ultimately, instead of being a home of isolated individuals all doing their own thing and primarily taking care of only themselves, they're now working together as a family, each member more interdependent than the others before. So Jake and Jen, they now have a deeper appreciation, a connection with each other, and now they find more fulfillment in their work together. They still have a lot of challenges to face, but at least they're having fun and lighthearted conversations again. And although they haven't identified this yet, the real reason they're interested in the idea of moving to more land is because of how it's created meaning in their lives and brought them together as a family. They want more of that. They just don't know if that type of move will actually get them more of it, or if that's even worth the commitment yet. And so that's why they start watching this channel, to find out this is where they're at as a family, and they're thinking about making that move to that bigger property. And she's going to help them. This creator's going to help them with that. So when it comes to the channel trailer, it's just like a general outline. It's like, Hook, hey, I never had a close friend as a kid.
Well,
fact,
let's transition here.
Yeah, thanks.
Because I feel
I
like
just read through that really fast.
No, I think it's important that, like, before you even go into the trailer and how it transitions, that we just acknowledge the detail that they went through to even get to now what will be a summarized, like, 60 to 90-second thing, right? And there's
that was
something,
like 5 pages. So yeah, this is not like a simple little exercise about who is this
and what
person.
do you feel like is the benefit, aside from what we're getting to here, of having all those details? Because I think that, we're seeing in the chat, like, oh my gosh, this is so detailed, or like, this is like a nighttime story, like, what do you feel like is the big benefits that you see when they understand and, like, think through all these details?
I feel like it makes it real to you as the
Yeah.
viewer, or I'm sorry, as the viewer, but because it's real to the creator. When you understand what the person's feeling, what's going on inside of them when they come and watch your video, you can address that person in a very specific. It's exactly what Carolyn said. It's the difference between like getting any traction because no one really feels anything, versus I'm watching her videos and I feel like she understands me. I feel like she gets me. She cares, and she's not just showing me that the mental cognitive level, like how to do this thing, but they're going to like the emotional level of this is why it matters to us. This is what's at stake for us, guys. And the creator is tapping into the audience in a way that the audience never even understood about themselves. And that type of connection is huge. And so that really informs the kind of content that you're making, rather than just some general audience of people who also share this interest in this one thing. Like this story got down to their why, and it got deep into like, here's what's happening in their life when they come to YouTube and watch your video.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, I just wanted to give a little transition element before you got into the actual trailer, because there's so much to that. And anytime I do a Video Labs class and have somebody, they're like, I'm so sorry for the detail, and it goes like, I'm like, no, that's so great that you're putting that kind of time and effort into it. So
yeah. I see the people in the chat saying that. It was like, I think Harley says, I think I have 2 or 3 sentences for mine. There's nothing wrong with that, but what we want to do is you get to this point where if your channel just feels like the direction is unclear, I have found that once you have clarity on the target audience and the value prop, then the direction often becomes clear. We're going to talk about that next in terms of what happens after you have this thing with figuring that out. But maybe to give you guys like a tangible, okay, what does this come down to? And this isn't fully fleshed out. This is just an outline, really, but it's not a script. But the quick channel trailer then would be something as like, I never had a close friend as a kid. In fact, I was a kid that was bullied. It led to depression, and all I really wanted was to find a community of people who accepted me for who I am, flaws and all. Thankfully, I found that in my husband, and then this person tells a quick story about the importance of that with her relationship with her husband. But I needed community support too. We all do. And then the story now turns to the viewer. She says, 8 years ago, I had to pay a plumber to come fix my washing machine. It was a 42-cent part, and he charged me $440 to do it. That's when I picked up my first tool. And then her first story is that table. It's like, I first built this table and cannot tell you how proud I felt. It made me feel like my home was a place where I belonged. The table is a place where we sit around with friends, build relationships, and have hard conversations, make tough decisions, eat meals. It's a place where my roots could grow deep with people. And today I'm all in on growing deep roots with people. And now this is where she now starts talking about the channel the value prop. I think it's easy to think that this channel is about farming, woodworking, machinery, animals, and gardens. Yes, it's about those things, but because all of those things are tools I use to build relationships with people. It's about growing deep roots, both on the farm and with those who mean the most to me. And if you want that, subscribe. Let's learn how to build deep roots together. So that's like she's integrating her story so that when someone who's in that position, who in that target audience hears that story, they're like, "Ooh, that's what I want." And now they understand that this really isn't just about how do I cut this wood and assemble it to build this thing, but this is about the value prop is deeper now. Because it's actually about using these things as tools to build relationships. And now she has much more flexibility to do a much broader amount of content on her channel than she otherwise would if it was stuck to just woodworking. So
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that, especially with that they weren't afraid to say, yes, it is about these things, but it's about these things because it goes deeper than that, even in the channel trailer outline there. That's so cool.
That did not come easy for those of you guys who are like, oh my gosh, how do I even start making something like that? I would just take those questions that we outlined here and start answering them and give them as much detail as you have. Personally, when we worked on this took a solid afternoon for us to put together. So, which I thought was actually pretty quick. Normally, this type of thing can take days, if not weeks and months. But we took a solid afternoon and just hashed it out. So just take those questions and start working on it. And then I think that'll make your value proposition clear, and that'll hopefully give you a lot of direction on your channel. The last point that I wanted to make is to give yourself the freedom to experiment and always try new things. Because the thing is, guys, like it depends on where your discontentment is with the direction of your channel. But if you're not always experimenting, I feel like you get stuck into a rut. I feel like and this is exactly where I'm at, if I'm just gonna be totally honest with you guys. Like, I've been doing the same type of videos for years, and I'm ready for something else. And I think, and the data shows that a lot of you guys are over ready. In fact, a lot of people get bored and leave because it's just kind of the same approach. And I feel like the car mechanic who drives the clunky car, because I spend all day working on other people's cars and don't have time to work on my own, which hopefully we'll start fixing that and addressing that here soon. But giving yourself the freedom to experiment and try new things, I think, is very important. It's the new ideas, the fresh approaches. I'm not talking about a different value for a different audience. I'm talking about different and new ways to provide the same value for the same audience. And if you get stuck in the rut, it's just your channel momentum will slowly die. And it'll plateau first, and then it will start to decline. And so it's really important that we're always, like, we have something that we know just works, and we kind of keep a fresh repertoire of that going, but we also need to try new things continually to figure out where's my energy best served in terms of the direction of my channel. And then you might come up with a new direction that you never would have otherwise thought of before until you experimented with this one thing or three things and saw how awesome they worked. So that is definitely a part of this as well, which could probably and should probably be its own episode, but it isn't. That's all you're going to get for now on that one. Lennon, do you got anything to add here?
No, I think
I feel like I just ran with it.
Yeah, if I had an action statement for people listening, I mean, literally, Tim just walked you through a lot of what we do in a consult. You know, the change there is the opportunity for one of us to ask you questions, and we may have the right questions to ask in the moment. That's kind of the differentiator there. But man, if you just started there and then you came into something saying like, I know this story and I have this outlined, you're going to be way ahead of most people. And so going back and just listening to this and kind of taking notes on how you can start to map out that story, I think would be a great actionable step for anybody listening. I think it'd be worth your afternoon, and then some.
Yeah. We didn't really have as many questions coming in this time as normal, but we did get one comment that I think is good for us to address here, Lennon. Is Keto Twins asks, I'm sure those tips. So the context here is that I was saying that we're getting more narrow in our audience and who we're reaching after. And so Keto Twin says, I'm sure those tips for larger creators still apply to the newer creators. The ones who want to learn will consume all that advanced knowledge that's available to them. And I wanted to respond to that and saying, yes, that's true, but no, it's also not true. And the way it is true is that a lot of creators, smaller ones, less established ones, feel like, oh, if I just learn the advanced things, then my channel will grow. And if I don't think it really works that way. I think it works exactly the same way it does with music or athletics, which is you need to learn the basics first. And then the advanced, once you get really good at that, the advanced techniques then actually work. So in music, if you don't learn how to read music, first of all, you're never going to be able to like sit down and play this advanced piece, right? Like you need to learn how to read music first. If I grew up as a wrestler, and so in wrestling, like there's some pretty fancy throws that you could do, but if you don't learn the double leg takedown first, it's just like the fancy throws, you're going to end up on your back every single time when you do it. And so I do think there's something to be said for doing the right things in the right order to follow the process that leads to the results that you want. So I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of creators who want the advanced stuff, but we really need to be doing the basics. And even stuff like value prop target audience was probably more on the basic side than the advanced side. It's just that a lot of creators, even when they have a more established channel, haven't done that and still aren't getting the momentum and the growth they really want because they still haven't done that yet. Any other questions I'm missing here, Lennon?
No, I think it's more discussions on YouTube conspiracies in the chat today. So got a few of those. a few of that happening today.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for that question, Keto Twins, for bringing that up. And we will see how it goes. We've been experimenting a little bit, and we're ready to dive in a little bit more ourselves and see exactly what happens. And I think ultimately, yes, our socials might decline, but the clients that we work with will be more the right people, and we will be serving the people we get most excited about. So I'm really rusty. I can't take 2 weeks off, Lennon. All right. How do I wrap this up? What do we normally do? I'm off my game here. Oh, quote of the day. We don't have a quote of the day.
Quote of the day. Yeah, we don't have Delana. I don't have a quote of the day. I should have had one, but I don't. Sorry.
Let's use,
Delana's not here. It all falls apart for me. So,
let's use, if I can't remember it though, Carolyn's quote, which is like, anyway, we'll just skip it. Our quote of today is that, no, let's just skip the quote of the day. We'll go right into the end. Sorry, you guys are watching the raw recording of this. So thanks for the encouragement, Chris. I really hope some of that was helpful for you guys. I know we covered a lot, and I know I just kind of cut Lennon off, and I just dove into it myself. But looking forward to next week. Lennon, Delana, hopefully will both be here, and we'll really help you guys with some next level things, even grow your channel and your audience even more. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. If you want to tweet me at any time, you can. It's at Tim Schmoyer. And love to hear, or Instagram at Video Creators. Either of those two places would be great, and just hear what you're thinking of and what your response is to all this, and maybe how we can help you work through what you're facing as you hear and work through all this stuff yourself. So thank you guys for being a part of this. Thank you, Leonard, for hanging out with me and putting up with me again for another week as I try to figure out how I do this podcasting thing. And we will see you guys all again next week for another Video Creators podcast episode. See you guys then. Bye.